Hello, this is Catherine Dubberly, the Answer Lady. I'm a big fan of KISS Looms, and I am cooperating with Kelly at KISS to present to you a whole series of looming techniques especially for KISS. We're going to do this on all sorts of KISS looms so you get to see every basic technique on your own loom. Welcome and enjoy. I'm making a pair of socks here on the FG0 KISS loom. They start with 1x1 ribbing, knit 1, purl 1 ribbing. And that's done a little bit differently than it is on any other KISS loom because of the lack of pins. There's my knit stitch. Here's my purl stitch. Now take note of a couple things. I have other videos on knitting and purling on this loom, so I'm not going to go into a ton of detail. But if you use this method of purling using the main tool, when you lift off, see the yarn tail? It needs to come to the new side, the formerly unworked side of the needle. Watch why. Here we go. When we knit, we wrap the yarn around and it automatically goes to the new side. But when I purl, if I lift, I could accidentally leave it on the already worked side. It needs to move forward. Doesn't matter if you're knitting clockwise or counterclockwise, but you need to keep moving in the correct direction. In my opinion, this is the more efficient way to knit 1, purl 1 on this loom, is to use the same tool for both, because you have to work the stitches one by one due to the lack of pins. However, if you prefer purling the other way, there's not a problem doing it. We can change tools. You do need a very small purling tool. This is one that I made that's very small. When you use the purling tool, it's not as much of a challenge to get the yarn on the correct side because you can wrap it there before knitting the stitch. Actually, you can wrap it there before knitting the stitch using this tool, like this. However, since I'm working right-handed, I would have a lot of trouble manipulating from here to flip my stitch up. And that's not true using the purling tool. So the only disadvantage of the purling tool is having to change tools every single stitch. Either way works fine, and it's not as difficult as you would think. And the final stitch on this face is a knit. So I'll keep working around till the sock grows. There is one more pitfall that is more likely to happen to you on this particular loom than one of a little bit larger gauge. And that is that the stitches are so tiny that if you do not control your movements, you will accidentally pull off nearby stitches as you lift up like this. See what just happened? These two fell off. So now I will have to replace and re-knit them. And you don't really want to have to do that. All you have to do to avoid it is avoid making large movements. And I do find also that the placement of my non-knitting hand can be helpful. I'm going to fix this off camera and show you what I mean. All fixed, not difficult really, I just had to twist and turn it so the camera would have had a hard time seeing it. I'm knitting, and right now I'm pulling down a little bit with this yarn, which effectively presses down the fabric behind and keeps it from wanting to pop up. Another way is to use a finger back here. And be careful about using the yarn because we're not trying to make the stitches smaller, which will happen if you tug on the yarn very much. I have sort of developed a way of just laying it down there that's not tightening it, but using my fingers on the inside of the loom is probably even the better way. Easier to do when you're not filming, but you can see the loom is so small that even if you have smallish hands, you can reach in there and control the action of those stitches. And they don't have a lot of force behind them, so it doesn't take a lot of pressure to keep them where you want them.